Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, everybody. This is the Smoking Barrel. I'm Rustin Edwards, based in Switzerland, with world traveler Matt Stan the Man, currently in locations unknown or
Yes.
well known.
Yeah. I mean, look, we had a trip booked anyway. I'm in the Maldives, and it's not me being a smug twat at all. It is safe here. Flights are taking off from Dubai. We went yesterday, 3.5 hours from Dubai. Quarter empty plane, quarter full, half full, whatever you want to say. But yeah, so because it was quite an unusual flight. You took off from Dubai, banked hard immediately because you go out towards the sea, which is heading towards Iran. Never really thought about it before. Banked around a sort of Port Rashid, then came into land, and then went straight through Oman, and then you go straight southeast. So for us, we were fortunate that the kids had my wife and the kids had a holiday booked, a trip booked here. I was supposed to be in Athens for our global, what's called our global connect, where everyone gets together and comes from all over the world and gets together, and we talk about the plan is for the year as Kepler, but obviously that was cancelled. And here I am, so working normally. What that is in the last couple of weeks, I don't know, but I was on the radio this morning, and look, it's the situation seems to be, and I don't want to, I don't want to bock it, and jinx it. Seems to be calming down somewhat, but within the Middle East, but it's still certainly not safe. And I never thought I would say that, especially in Dubai, which is long. But the city will endure. We will endure with it. I said that on Monday. I can't say that enough. Um, and here I am, still talking to you. So it could be
Yeah,
worse.
yeah. Well, here we are, day 12 of the Middle East war. We got crude oil 87.73, so massively lower from where it was at the beginning of the week. And
Yeah, by like
basically,
40 bucks,
yeah.
30 bucks.
And basically, we're right back in the same range we were when the war started, between 80 and 85, or 80 and 90, if you want to go that $10 range.
Yeah, I was told
Back.
not to call it a war or a conflict. No. Sorry, I was told not to call it a war or a crisis. So let's call it
An
a
excursion?
a special military operation. Isn't that what the Russians called it?
Yeah, I don't want to call that this a special military operation. I don't think this has the same connotations as that does.
Right.
But we have seen structure in the market come off from where it was earlier.
Where's
Uh,
June Sep trading? I can't get access to that. I haven't
So
got my
June
full.
SEP right now, we can call that $7.
Really? I
Yep.
mean, that was trading on Monday morning when we woke up, and it was. Where am I? God, what day is it? What day is it today? Wednesday. All
Wednesday.
day. Wednesday all day. Let's see. Monday morning, someone saying to me, "Do I want to work from Brussels?" I said I'd rather not. Not there's anything wrong with Belgium. Hang on. Where are we? Monday, I was arguing with colleagues, arguing with colleagues. $18.50 for June set was trading on Monday morning.
Yep. So,
That's a significant sell off.
but it is a bit of a risk off because you do have the IEA and the G7 still talking about a stock release,
Yeah,
400 million barrels. I almost think that are they just throwing this out there as a way to calm markets down? And will they actually release? Because again, there's a case of, is there still enough oil floating around that even with the Straits of Hormuz in the current state of limited transits, because there are
yeah,
apparently ships going through, but a very small percentage of ships.
yeah.
Um, Stories are
Let me have a
leaking
look.
out that 3 or 4 tankers have been transiting through that are loaded. Um, Chinese flagged or Chinese cargoes as they're stipulating on their AIS, or they're just turning their AIS off. And Bob's your uncle in that regards.
I
You have the
can't share my
Saudis.
screen. Yeah, sorry, I can't share my screen. Chrome tab. Oh, hang on, maybe I can. Sorry, I'm not used to a laptop. You kids love these laptops. I'm not. Can you see this?
Something's coming up. Oh, there we go. Yep, bingo.
Okay, I mean, I'm seeing. I mean, let's just have a look, see what's happening.
But
Um,
you have the Saudis ramping up exports out of Yanbu on the Trans Peninsula pipeline there. Uh,
yeah,
their ships have been fixed and ships are moving to start loading crude from there. Then there's I'd say you're starting to see a buildup of tonnage off Yanbu, which is what you need to see in order to get to a 5 or 6 million barrel a day consistent export capacity.
yeah,
So things are changing, things are shifting as things always do whenever you have a breakdown in pipeline movements or breakdown in logistics.
yeah.
But when you look at your map there of Kepler, it seems like there's a lot of ships starting to trickle through.
No, these are Iranian ships.
Well, I mean, but still, an Iranian tanker moving Iranian crude to market is still crude oil going to market.
I agree, but these haven't Neok and the whatever the shipping liner is from Iran, the Iranian, whatever it is, they've been running as normal. But there have bing some boats that have gone through. Dynacom are obviously in the news a lot because they have been on this, right? Where are we? So lots of people have been asking us, of course, how many ships are going through the Straits of Hormuz? People have been using what they call jamming, so turning off their GPS systems or faking where they actually are. This is a question I put to myself this morning, right? And I want to ask your opinion about this. Does the shipping market take this as the moment to move on from AIS, the automatic identification system, and onto new technology? How long is this AIS, where they put the transponder on top of the bridge of the boat and it pings to the satellite and that gives you it pings back down and it gives you a live identification of where that ship is globally anywhere in the world. How long has that system been in place globally in the maritime
Um,
community?
I'm going to say that when I finished sailing back in 2000, it was just starting to get installed.
Okay. What did they use before? Crows.
Absolutely nothing.
That's the crow flies. Okay, so you relied on what's called noon reports, right? So you get a
Well,
you
you
get
had
a
noon reports, which was probably still done by shipping today. They're still being done today, noon reports, because that gives you data as to vessel performance, routing, ETA, and what have you. All the IAS was designed to do was implemented as part of the GMDSS regulations around shipping. So basically, it creates a data feed that can help you be identified by other ships to make navigation safer, so you can see what ship is coming near you, so you can do traffic collision avoidance.
yeah,
It gives you navigational feed data. It also creates a black box as well, so you have that flight recorder, which really didn't exist on shipping until the 2000s.
right.
Um, so you have a lot of data capture that's now possible because of AIS. But AIS in itself is just a data point that shipping can track vessels now more accurately than they had in the past.
But I mean, so for the uninitiated people who new, so a noon report used to be what we would get via almost, I think it was telex used to come through, and it was at noon every day, which was at universal time, right? It was the
Well,
same
it was
time
no
everywhere.
noon local time on the ship. So we would publish a noon report. Every time around noon local time, you take a position of the vessel, fuel consumption, uh, speed through the water,
Yeah,
weather, and transmit that to
ETA.
your home office.
Yeah,
As you said, either via telex or teletype, and then as things progressed, it became an email when email started picking up because satellite communication became cheaper.
right. Okay, and that would give you how long you've for the voyage where you loaded from, voyage time so far, voyage time to go, ETA at this point, and it was really important for people who are pricing cargoes around, say, discharge, right? NOR, for example, notice of readiness. It would give people the ability to work out how long to go and when they need to hedge, etc. And then AIS has taken over. What's the? I mean, this is the naivety of me. I work for the world's biggest data provider when it comes to where commodities are moving and how they're moving. We bought marine traffic a few years ago. What's the next step? Like, what's being discussed within the shipping community? Any ideas on what? Because surely technology moves on. So how's the maritime space? Surely this is the moment where they go, well, we don't want people to know where we are, obviously, for obvious reasons. So what's the next stage?
Well, I mean, you want to know where your ship is all the time. So you, as a ship owner, want to know where your vessels are.
Yeah,
And you also want to have bit of security around traffic avoidance. I mean, when you look at pre-Middle East war or whatever you want to call this, um, there was a lot of pushing to go to the automated vessel where you don't need to have a full crew, where you
Right.
have, basically self-driving ships using satellite data to go from point A to point B.
Would you get on one of those? Because I hear all this. Look, I love Dubai, you know I do. But there's all this talk about self-driving taxis. Let me tell you, I've seen Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone. Not a chance I'm getting in one of those. Frightful. But I'm sure the technology's moved on since I went to go and see that in the Odeon Cinema in 1995 or whatever it
Well,
was.
I'm sure in Dubai with the tram system, that's automated.
Yeah, but so was the Docklands Light Railway in the early 90s in the UK. So
Yeah.
what's the difference with that?
Well, I mean, a lot of trams have drivers, and now you have automated drivers for trams, so it's just no
Yeah, but
different.
you have done for 30 years.
Yeah. Well, technology is technology. Now, granted, they're on a
Yeah, I
track.
know.
Ships in the middle of the ocean. But that was kind of like the next step technology was reduce crewing because now you have a computer doing the driving. You don't need to have a standard watch.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, that was just an interesting point I sort of raised because I think I think you'll see a new industry or that part of the industry. I think that there'll be a lot more investment in that. Anyway, there's still a conflict going on within the Middle East. Things have calmed down, like I just said, but it does seem to be, and I wanted to get your opinion on this as well, that the Iranians seem to be targeting specific zones, mainly oil refineries within the Middle East Gulf. So we've seen the Basitra refinery being hit. We've seen Ras Tanura being hit, the big refinery in the Middle East Gulf that Saudi Aramco operate. And then yesterday we saw the Ruwais refinery being hit, which we've heard they shut down the west side, the CDU there, and then I think that's 850,000 barrels a day. And then the east side is shut precautionary right now. No one knows exactly what's happened. And that's to stem the flow of production of Jet A1 to supply the military within the region, right? Now, here's something that I think the vast majority of the public maybe don't know. Talk to us and tell us about Jet A1. Jet A1 is a grade of petroleum product that is defense standard, right? That can be called upon. It's different to gasoline, which has different specifications, and it's not as nuanced. Jet fuel is jet fuel is jet fuel is jet fuel. Is that right?
Yes and no. So jet fuel is a light cut of distillate. So basically, it's the top end of your distillate cut. Has a little bit of potentially a little bit of naphtha in it as well, but it's a little bit lower flash than normal diesel.
And what does that mean?
That means the point at which it has ignition, it's a little bit lower than diesel,
Okay.
but it has a lot more specifications around freeze point, cloud point, wax content. So it is a bit more processed to handle at high altitude, low pressure environments.
Okay.
Because what you don't want to have is your jet fuel becoming gum at 35,000 feet,
No,
as an
no, of
example.
course. Yeah, no, of course. And when we
So
speak about Jet A1 DEF stand stands for Defense Standard, right? That's a specific grade.
Yes, but DefStan is also used around the world because it's a standard that's being used in all planes. So Jet is probably one of the most homogeneous products when you think about it.
Universally.
Yeah,
Universally.
because it's the same specification for all jet airliners because they all operate at a very high altitude, very low pressure environment. So therefore, they only have the same type of fuel.
Yeah.
So you do have some various specifications like dual purpose kerosene,
Yeah.
which meets
DPK. Yeah.
yeah, which meets Jet A1 standard as well as kerosene home consumption standard. Because in some places you use that same logistics chain to bring in home cooking oil as well as your jet fuel for your planes.
Right. And talk to us about, let's say there was a pocket in the world that was short on jet fuel, but the military needed it. They get first option, right?
Well, I would think that if they're paying the bill, they get whoever pays the most gets the first option. I'm a capitalist at heart.
Right, exactly.
So,
Yeah. Because
but necessary, but usually if you have a government run oil refining system, they can allocate molecules how they want to allocate molecules. So if they allocate molecules to the military first, then it goes to the military first.
right, okay. So does that render the current attacks in the Middle East Gulf and certain refineries, because there's so much product locked into the Middle East Gulf, that any of those ships could be called upon to obviously refuel who they need to refuel? Is that right? So if you cut the jugular and jet fuel isn't produced, but there's jet fuel cargoes on the water that were previously, but they're locked into the Middle East, those cargoes could be called upon. Is that right?
That really depends on who owns the cargo at that point. I mean, so it's one thing if you're running the refinery and you're producing the material inside the refinery. It's quite another thing if you've loaded a ship, you've given those documents to the owner of the cargo. I mean, so you can ask the owner to sell it back to you.
Mm,
But if you've bought the cargo and now you're sitting on a ship and you're collecting demurrage for your or spending demurrage because you can't transfer the straits, but you're fully loaded.
yeah. Well,
I
you just, yeah, I mean, I just, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think a lot of people will understand the dynamics of oil trading over the coming weeks more than they ever have done, because there will be the old saying, never let a good crisis go to waste. And I think a lot of people will potentially, morally, where it sits, make a lot of money out of that. But anyway, I just wanted to clarify that because I think that's something that people are concerned about, but I don't think it should be a concern. Okay, I've got not got much battery left, and I want to talk to you. So, next topic I want to talk about is let's talk about a correction in oil prices because I don't think we can talk about that. We were $119.50 Monday morning. We're $38 below that now. Where are we trading now on front month Brent? 89, something like that.
It said 87, 88, 11, 88, 17 now.
And I mean, I posed something to you on Monday and on the webinar that I hosted as well in regards to the new supreme leader that's been nominated hasn't been seen much. I just saw a headline saying that he is alive and well, but he's injured. Motaba Khamenei safe, sound despite injuries. That's what the Iranian RGC have said. Um,
Yet they won't
what's
show his picture and they won't have him speak at any point whatsoever. It's all rumors are that he's in a coma or he's already dead, but they're not going to say that he's dead because they don't want to give the satisfaction to the Israelis that they killed him. So, there's a a lot of skullduggery around that. There's a good
so
word,
what do you
skullduggery.
Golduggery, yeah, that's certainly what something I'm sure my blessed grandparents would have used in this situation. Rapscallions. What do you attribute the sell-off to then? Do you attribute
Well, I
to the
mean,
fact?
so you have a bit that the market went to an extremist point rather quickly on the
Yeah,
attacks against Iranian oil infrastructure, because that's basically, I think, what perpetuated this market to move as much high as it did. But why did it come off as hard as it did? Is the physical fact that there is plenty of oil. We talked about this on the last uh, conversation we had. When you look at the west of the Suez Canal, markets are a
yeah,
bit oversupplied. You've
a
got
bit.
a bit. There's refinery runs happening. There's plenty of product being produced. There's no shortage of molecules as of the point in time. Yes, stocks are drawing down, but inventory levels are actually okay at the moment.
Yeah,
When you go, the big problem is east of Suez. That's where you have the drawdown in stocks. That's where you have the shortfall because you don't have all those products coming out of the Middle East that would go into the different markets, the jet fuel, the diesel, the fuel oil, the naphtha. And so you're seeing that with the force majeures being declared in a lot of different products, a lot of different places.
yeah.
But one thing that's also happened in the East is because prices had rallied and moved so high, nobody's buying crude because nobody wants to
Uh,
spend the money to buy crude. And so you have crude stocks actually building on the water. And I think during your webinar, you guys alluded to that with your oil on the water graph that you guys presented.
yeah.
So when you have nobody willing to buy because it's gotten too high too quick, you end up with oversupply. The market has a structural demand destruction reaction because pricing has made it happen.
Yeah, but I mean, back to where we were, nothing to see here. What was an aberration Monday morning in terms of market reaction or what?
I think it was a way knee-jerk market reaction. I mean, people buying futures because, oh my God, they hit Iranian oil infrastructure, spiking the market, and then reality comes in and look how quickly that market sold off from the 118 back down to $90, 93, $94.
Yeah.
And then IEA comes out and says we may look at releasing stocks from the SPR. Oh, there's another $10 out of the market. So
Yeah.
We're in this kind of zone where, if you're trying to trade the headline, you could probably get burned because the headlines are causing overreaction both to the upside and the downside. I mean, we look what
Yeah.
happened yesterday. You had the tweet from the Treasury Secretary saying that a Navy ship has escorted a tanker through the Straits of Hormuz, and the market sold off $15 or $10. So a massive sell-off on that tweet, which when you think about it logistically, if it truly had happened and one tanker was escorted through the Straits of Hormuz, so what? You
No, I
need
know, and that was the main. I had I had a few guests on the webinar on Monday. I had Sumit, who's brilliant. He's our sort of refinery modeling analyst. Um, Understands trading, understands flows, and he's looking at things through a sensible lens. And then and all the guys do, of course. But I would say the main takeaway, the main feedback is that people don't see this as a prolonged conflict. That the Iranians, whether it's pressure or whether it's purely down to, dare I say this sentence, the fact that most of their storage of weapons has been destroyed, is that seems to be the sensible market reaction. Monday morning's market reaction was, well, this is the new norm. This is new world order. But that quickly got eroded. Really, since Europe woke up, Asia bought it in a panic. Europe sold it a bit. The US sold the shit out of it, and here we back are where we were probably Tuesday of the conflict when it started.
Yeah, like day three. We're at that same pricing until like at day three of the conflict,
Okay.
Monday,
All right.
Tuesday.
Look, I've got
But
2 minutes left with you, but I mean, because we're going to record, it's going to be a bit bitty because of where I'm being pulled left, right, and centre right now. But what's your view on where things are? Like, what do we think the rest of the week brings us? It feels like 2 weeks ago I last spoke to you. It was only 2 days, but where do you see the week sort of closing out? More sort of calm,
Well, I
or
think we stay in this elevated price level we're at with the backwardation where it's at. I mean, the one positive thing is that it does look like the intensity of the strikes by Iran against GCC counterparts is dropping, which can be attributed
yeah,
either to the lack of infrastructure to launch missiles and drones, or lack of supply of missiles and drones because the U.S. and Israel keep striking at storage facilities that are in the mountains, what have you. The U.S. has intensified its strike package by bringing in larger bombers with larger payloads. And if we're shifting from precision strikes to carpet bombing techniques, they're going to pound everything into thing. I think the biggest thing to watch is what does happen around the Straits of Hormuz. Do we get mine
yeah,
release, which may or may not have happened? Do we see naval escort starting? The French carrier strike group from the Charles de Gaulle is arriving, I think, in 3 days into the Arabian Sea. On
yeah,
top of that, you've also got the carrier group George W. Bush arriving into the Mediterranean. We've had the carrier group for the Ford shift from the Mediterranean into the Arabian Sea. So we're focusing a lot of carrier strike groups as well as naval assets into the region, which to me is probably going to start creating that cordon of ships to to allow safe transit of the Straits of Hormuz. So I would think that within the next 7 to 10 days, we're going to see an attempt to open the straits and allow ships to start transiting.
yeah. I think we don't have a choice. I mean, I'm just reading a couple of messages that are just coming in. All flights have just been grounded at Dubai Airport. 2 drones fall near Dubai Airport. 4 are injured. So they've shut the airport again. Um, it's not. Things may be calming down, but they're certainly not going away. And I
No,
think,
they're not going away. I mean, it's not 100% destruction of all their ability to launch. I think from the latest reports I've saw on, missile launches are down 90% from the first day. Drone launches are down 87%. So
yeah,
there's
yeah.
still stuff happening. It's not zero.
No, you're right. Look, I've got to jump, but it's good to see you. And I know it was a day out yesterday. We'll record tomorrow. It's a bit humid here as well. But I mean, I'm not going to complain about humidity. It's the last bloody thing on my mind. But look, good to see everyone. I hope everyone stays safe. Keep reaching out. We're here when we want to talk. I'm working all the time as well, in between uh, eating lob or whatever I'm eating. Um, and yeah, good to see you, mate. And like, comment, subscribe.
Yep. Click like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Um, keep watching for the Smoky Barrel.
Cheers. Ciao.